This eduroam how-to guide explains certificate requests on a standalone CA or for the Jisc certificate service, and shows how to construct a proper certificate request, processing your certificate request on your own CA, and importing your certificate and checking that it has a key.
Okay, good afternoon. This is a brief webinar on how to renew and request your certificates for NPS, and specifically for eduroam. So on this one, you'll notice that I have you'll have a server window here, and I am going to send it a Control-Delete, and I would like to log myself in. And there we go. Right, so this is what you usually see by default, Server Manager. We are not going to work with the Server Manager this time. We go down to the Start menu, we go up to Search, we type in MMC to start the Microsoft Management Console. Then we go to File, we click on Add Remove Snap-ins, we click on Certificates, and we click on Add. And because all the services on Windows run under the computer account, you click on computer account and click Next, Next, and Finish, and click on OK. And now what you'll see is a whole range of certificates, but because this server only has one certificate, which is my test certification authorities root certificate, there it is. So from here, to be able to create a certificate for your eduroam server, if you are using a standalone CA, or if you are using the Jisc certificate service, you would select the certificates, right-click, click on Add Tasks, go to Advanced Operations, and then create a custom request. Now it's going to ask a couple of things. We can ignore this particularly. You should have an option here called Custom Request, proceeding without enrollment policy. On an enterprise CA, you will most likely have this, which means this webinar does not apply to you. Right, so we click Next. We select nothing on here, everything's fine. We click Next again. And then we need to modify the actual custom request. So we click on Properties. We give it a friendly name, because that's what it's going to show in the certificate manager. So the friendly name we'll give it is the eduroam server. And we'll give it a description, eduroam certificate for server. Then we go to the subject. Now, for us and for eduroam in general, you have to make sure that the common name is sensible. Usually, you'll use something that looks like a domain name. It might be your server name, but something that you can put onto multiple servers and that all present the same name. You could do that with the same certificate as well, but with the same name usually works. In my case, I'm going to use eduroam.domain.act.uk, and I will add that. I will then also add my country, which is GB for Great Britain. I'll give it the organization name. In my case, I'll call it Test Academy. And then you can also add your email address, for example, for your help desk. So help desk at test academy.act.uk. Right. And then in here, this is important. You need to select DNS, and here you also need to add what you've put into the common name. So domain.act.uk. If you're using multiple servers, you can add multiple server names in here. But the important thing is that one of these DNS entries matches what you have in here. So these two match. Then you click on extensions. You don't need to do anything with the key usage. That's all fine. That's all standard. But the extended key usage matters. And in here, you choose server authentication. You don't need to do anything else. Basic constraints, you'll notice, is by default disabled, but this option is ticked. So that means that this basic constraints extension is critical, it'll mark it as critical, and it'll actually add it anyway, despite you not actually having ticked this option. Then we go to the private key. In the private key, in the key options, choose a key of at least 2048 bits. We recommend that you start using 4096 because, computing moves on, and so does the ability to try and crack keys. You choose the option make a private key exportable because you will need this in the future. Then we choose the hash algorithm. And in here, I suggest that you start with SHA-256 or use SHA-384. 384 is now considered to be arguably the most common to use. We don't do anything else with that. We click on OK. We click on Next. And it will ask us for a username. Now, in this username, we just provide a name for it. Let's call it eduroam server.req, and it saves it. Now, I have a network share. This probably makes a lot of sense for people who are on a network. You might want to use your own directory, your own home directory on the network, but in this instance, I'm using a network share that is virtual. So I am going to switch to my certificate authority. Okay, we switch over. Right, now we are on my certificate authority. In my certificate authority, I will find my request. There we go. Now, in the certificate authority here, again, I have to go to MMC, go to File, go to Add and Remove Snap-in, and in here you'll find the certification authority. Click on Add. You use the local computer because that's where your certification authority lives. You click on OK, and then you expand it, and you then right-click on your certification authority, click on Add All Tasks, and then submit a new request. And in here, you choose the certificate request that you've just received from your server. You'll then find it in pending requests. You then right-click on that, you click on Add Tasks, click on Issue, and off it goes, and it issues a certificate, which you have here. Now, if you double-click on that, you can have a look at the certificate. You can see who it is issued by. You can look at the values, and this is important. You can see that the hash algorithm is SHA-256, which is good, which is what you wanted. The subject is exactly what we've added, which is also what you expect. The public key is 496, which is what you expect. Server authentication is what you expect. And then in here, you should have a subject alternate name, and that should be as expected. So you can click on Copy to File here. You can click on Next. I will choose the cryptographic message syntax standard option and tick the option Include All Certificates, because it'll include the root certificate of the certificate authority, in case you don't have it. And then we browse to the new share where we put it. We call it eduroam server.p7b, I believe. And we click on Save. We click Next, we click Finish, and it has exported the certificate for us. And now we need to go back to our, now we need to go back to our server. So I'm going to switch back to my server now. Share, yes. Right, and we are back on my server. I go back to my share, and there's my eduroam server certificate item. Now in here, in certificates, I right click, I say import, I browse to my file, and that is not true, it's not disconnected, because it is connected actually. I need to choose the correct file, and there we are. We click next, we click next, we click finish, and it says it is finished. Now, to check that your certificate has correctly imported and that you have a key that goes with the certificate, check this out at the top here. You'll notice that my CA certificate does not have a key next to it. It literally just shows the certificate, but that's because I only need the public certificate for it. I do not have the private key. The private key sits on my certification authority. But here, my actual server authentication certificate has the key with it. Now, this is very important. When your certificate expires and you then right-click and go and request a new certificate with the same key that you would do under here, and you choose renew the certificate with the same key, that you do not lose the key, because this will happen. So if you want to renew your certificate with a new key, you can simply choose the certificate, choose all tasks, and then just request the certificate with a new key, which will then pop the key back in. You just do the certificate request again, and you re-import the certificate, and you will have a new key with it. If you use something like the Jisc certificate service, you'll find that you will submit the request file, i.e. this file here, to the certificate service, and it will store it. And if you choose the auto renew option, it will use this same request to renew your certificate. At which point, when you import your copied certificate, you need to be careful that you do not, that you have the certificate sitting there with the key next to it. If you do not, then that link has not happened. In which case, we have to look at the options of how to fix that. And that, at this point, concludes this webinar.